Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about the armor highlighting in Reforged. Now, as some of you may have noticed in previous videos I've done, there are new armor highlights in Reforged Blitz. And in fact, there are 3 different ones in total which you can choose from. The way you choose it is in the game settings, and you can see here at the very top of the screen you have Classic, Default, and Combined. So, Combined is red and green. Classic is what we have in current Blitz, where the areas which are red, you don't shoot. And then default is the inversion of that, where you shoot the red areas and you avoid the grey areas. So I'll just go ahead and quickly show kind of what it looks like, because the default one, all of you guys will know what it looks like. I mean, it's the same as current Blitz, it's just slightly different due to the new kind of scope in Reforged. Now, I believe I have muted the game just because the engine sounds in replays are really bugged. When you pause it, the engine keeps going. But here you can see the armor highlight, right? It looks just like current Blitz, well, maybe a few differences, but the areas which are red, you don't shoot because you can't pen, right? The areas which are grey, you do shoot because you can pen. To all of us Blitz players who've already been playing the game, it makes tons of sense, right? The red areas, red's a colour you generally avoid, therefore you don't shoot it, right? Makes a lot of sense. Now, this is going to be a massively unpopular opinion, but this armor highlight system sucks. It is terrible. And not in any fault of itself so much, but just with how the game's been balanced with armor and that kind of stuff. The armor highlight system we currently have is just bad, okay? And the reason being is that the areas which you don't shoot are red, they are highlighted. But the areas which you do need to shoot are not highlighted. Meaning, if there's some area of armor behind, like a spaced armor plate, or something like that, behind the tracks, it's not going to be highlighted to you, so if it is red behind there, you kind of just have to guess whether you actually need to shoot there or not. Now, this is the inverted armor highlight. This is the quote-unquote default one for Reforged, and you can see it looks very weird to a Blitz player, right? The turret, which is usually strong, is now showing as grey, and the weak points, the massive cupola on top, is now showing as completely red. But this is actually a much better system. Why? The area which you need to shoot is highlighted. It is very clear where you have to shoot. It even shows up behind the tracks. It shows up behind the spaced armor. It makes it very obvious where you should be shooting because that area is highlighted in a bright color. You don't have to guess for shooting behind tanks' tracks or anything like that. Like a great example I will say is the Object 777 version 2. Its tracks cover basically the entire side of the tank. Because of our highlight system, it's not highlighted where you need to shoot, so you just kind of have to guess if the angle is, good or not for you to shoot. But with this new system, where the area which you have to shoot is highlighted, it makes it so clear for what area is penetrable, what area is not penetrable. So I just find it, personally for me, it is a much better system. It's going to be really hard to get used to, especially this red and grey one, just because it's the complete polar opposite of what we have all been playing for the last 12 years. But it does actually help quite a lot. And if you've not played it yet, try it, and you'll see what I mean. You'll be able to know when tanks are side-scraping, where you can pen, where you can't pen. It just makes shooting weak points and stuff so much more obvious. It makes it so much easier. And this one is the default for new players coming into Blitz. And it kind of makes a lot of sense because, like with video game bosses and all that, you shoot the glowing area, right? So the area which you need to shoot is glowing red. It kind of makes sense. At least from a newer player's perspective, a new player who has never touched this game before. Now, the final one I'm sure you will have all seen if you've watched my previous videos, because that's the one which I've been using since Reforged started. Now, this one I like the most, but I do still have some qualms with it. The combined red and green has problems with just how bright it is. the green is super opaque compared to the red, and you can see it there. Like, the green is so bright, it's so opaque, and the red is just much easier on the eyes. On top of this, when you switch to HE, the yellow and the green are very close to each other in terms of the colors, and kind of makes it hard to tell, you know, whether you can actually pen or not. So I think the red and green combined does still need some adjusting, but for me personally, I think this is the best color highlight, especially for a player who has already played Blitz. Reason being, the areas which you don't shoot are red, the areas which you do shoot are green. So either way, it's highlighted, but the same areas that were red as before remain red. So to us Blitz players, it's going to feel more familiar. Now, the reason this thing is also good is because the area where you kind of have a 50-50 to pen or not, it changes to an almost orange color. You can see on some areas of the upper plate of the chieftain there, some areas of the whole side, you can see it kind of fades from green, slowly going into red. And the reason I like this more than the purely red and grey system is because it makes it a lot more clear where is a 50-50 pen and where is a much more guaranteed pen. For example, you can see right at the front of this chieftain's side armor, it's very green, but the moment you move back slightly towards where this red arrow is, it starts becoming a bit more yellow. So it makes it very clear where you can pen, where is a slight pen, and where is a complete non-pen. So I really like the red and green, I really like the customization, and the fact that they have indeed kept the old highlighting system rather than forcing everyone to just switch over to the new ones. So just a quick interruption in the video here. I do want to go ahead and show that HE armor highlighting in the combined armor highlight mode, just because as much as I can say, oh, yellow and green are really similar in colors, it's much easier to actually show you what it actually looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and mute the replay again because, again, the engine sounds being bugged is quite annoying. This one I'm on vintage tier playing the T82 because this thing has quite potent HE shells for the vintage tier. So maybe actually I'll get a closer target to actually demonstrate this. But here you can see the T7057, right? That thing's full yellow, but it's kind of hard to tell. And here's a BTSV. So the back of the BTSV, you can see the lower plate of the back is actually green. It's penetrable, but the upper part of the back is not penetrable. The sides are not penetrable. And then of course the lower sides, that's actually spaced armor, so it looks like you can penetrate there, but you actually can't. So the HE armor highlight in this combined mode definitely still needs some work, as it is pretty confusing. For one, the green and yellow are similar. Two, the fact that green on the spaced armor kind of makes it seem like you can pen there, but you actually cannot. I mean, all armor highlight modes still have some issues on spaced armor, but the fact it shows up green on the combined mode just doesn't help. It's not helpful at all, especially if it's a new player trying out this armor highlight mode. You know, you'd expect green to be a pen. But yeah, my personal recommendation for this would be Wargaming. Change the colors a bit, right? Make the yellow a bit more obvious, make the green a bit less obvious, because the fact it's so bright, it's so opaque, definitely doesn't help in terms of it being pretty, well, similar to the yellow coloring. If it was a bit less bright, I feel like the yellow would be a bit more obvious. Or if it was the other way around, a yellow a bit more bright. But anyway, you can see the difference there. There is a difference, yes, but it's pretty small. So I still think the yellow-green on the HE of the combined mode does still need a bit of adjusting. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys that quickly. Back to the video. So yeah, it is good. I like this, that you can actually customize it for the game, and it's pretty cool that this is actually in there, and it helps newer players, of course, to learn armor and weak points, especially with sort of new player behavior and stuff, which Wargaming has tested in the past. That's how they even came to the conclusion of doing the inverted kind of red is where you shoot and grey is where you don't shoot. But yeah, I hope this does clarify for some of you guys, because I did see some people making comments like, oh my gosh, where's the old armor highlight gone? Don't worry, it's still there. You can still use it in Reforged. And hey, it still looks pretty similar to the current Blitz one. So I hope this video does help to clarify that a bit, and I hope it was useful for you all. But thanks all for watching.